So I think most people think consistency requires more discipline. Maybe they think it requires a huge amount of willpower, or it requires a complete personality change, or more than what people think it really needs to happen, right? And what it really breaks down to is you don't need that. What you need is an actual system. Once the right systems are in place, the consistency actually becomes more automatic than most people think, right? And I've been through this enough. I've talked with people enough. I've grew up with this more than enough to see that people, the ones who struggle actually end up relying on motivation. They rely on the willpower, they rely on motivation getting them out of bed, and it doesn't last long. It lasts maybe a week or two, maybe three, but people tend to fall off after 3 weeks. And the ones who win long term rely on structure. It's not an actual personality difference. It's not because one person's a different type of personality or leadership personality. It's genuinely a system difference, right? And so what do I mean by that, right? What I mean by that is, breaking down what your system actually is in a day-to-day life, right? Whether that means, and it can be the simplest things, because to get to the big things, the big goals, to hit your big goals, you have to start small. No one can just jump in, take the big steps, at least not for long, right? And the goal is always long term, right? Short term is great because you can do a short term sprint, but you're going to be gassed. But if you can do the long distance run and compound into something way bigger and better, that's always the goal, right? System number one is genuinely cutting down your fatigue from decisions. So what that means is eliminate the daily decisions, right? And this kind of cuts back to the earlier video. Example, like training days, they're scheduled ahead of time. So on specific days, you're going to train, do it that day, right? Work blocks are scheduled, bedtimes are non-negotiable. So that can be like, if I'm supposed to be in bed before 10, I'm off my phone before 9, right? But start creating non-negotiables for yourself, because then when you start keeping your promises to yourself, you start building confidence, and you're building a confidence in life that you're like, okay, I do say what I'm going to do. So when you start saying that you're going to do the bigger goals, your brain finds a way how, and it doesn't find the excuses, right? That's why it's important. So number two is standardize minimums, right? Define your minimum standard. Again, that's your non-negotiables. It's not your perfect day, but it's your minimum. So your non-negotiables can be, for example, like I hit a lift every morning. I get a morning movement done every single day, right? And that can be like a lift in the morning, or I work out for 30 to 45 minutes a day, right? And again, that's what I believe in. Fitness, foundation for everything. So I'm obviously going to push towards that. But I truly do think it's true. Moving your body and doing something hard first thing in the morning, or at least the day, can condition yourself to be, I do what I say I'm going to do, right? It can be non-negotiables where I eat protein at every meal, or I walk around 8 to 10,000 steps, or I'm off my phone at this time, right? And it's the small things that just get you further in life. Those are the ones that genuinely are the life-changing moments, because if you can't control yourself, how do you expect to control anything else in life? Genuinely. It doesn't make any sense. So don't be perfect. You're not perfect, but stick to your non-negotiables and stick to ones that you know you can do on a consistent basis. And that's going to take some time to figure out, right? Sometimes you do got to cut yourself a little bit of slack, but also depending on what mindset and personality type you are, right? Sit down, find out what non-negotiables are that you're going to do every single day, and start doing them. And that might require you might not like to hear this, but that might require you saying no to more things that you know are not good for you. Right? Ask yourself, what would the person that I want to be respond in this situation? And if they were to say no, you probably should say no too, right? And that's how you get into that personality. You're stepping into the role, because every single time you say yes to something you don't really want to do, or you take a step towards someone who you don't want to be, you're marking a tally for that lifestyle, for that story. So find the story that you want to stick to, that you want to grow into, and the person that you want to be, and start marking the tallies for that person, right? And number three, reset fast, right? Like I said, none of us are perfect. No one is perfect. But the goal is always to find what you're supposed to do, not what you're supposed to non-negotiables on the day, because you're going to figure those out, but what you're supposed to do when you miss a day. That is way more important than finding out what you're going to do, because people tend to fall into the lifestyle of, Oh shit, I missed a day. Okay, well, I guess I can just skip the next. Oh, I can skip the next. But the rule is never break the chain, right? Never break the link, right? If you miss the day, do it the next, right? If you miss the hour, do it the next, right? But don't break the chain, because once you start breaking the chain, you start settling into that habit, into that lifestyle that you don't want to be, and it just gets harder. So the goal is always to just make it easier, right? Don't be perfect, but make it easier on yourself to become the person that you want to be, right? Like, for example, if you miss a workout, like reset the next session, right? If you overeat, reset the next meal. I'm not saying skip it, right? Don't punish yourself, right? That might work for some mindsets, but there's no reason to punish yourself. It's just get back on track fast, right? How fast can you bounce back? Bad day, reset tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's always going to be a better day, right? The people who win don't avoid the mistake. They just recover way faster than normal people. And I mean, this applies to the gym. It applies to business. It applies to leadership. I think when you build a strong foundation in the gym with the habit and discipline of the gym, you can build into anything else in life, right? Leadership that can build into business, that can build into relationships. And it ties into so much more deeper than just being fit. Because when you go to the gym, you're around like-minded individuals that also want to better their body. Those people probably also want to better their social life, who also want to better their business and just be better people, right? And you find those people, you stick close to them, and you're around those people all the time. You're going to become those people eventually. So structure beats emotion every single time. Stop relying on emotions. Stop saying, if you don't feel like it, learn to trigger yourself and be, why don't I feel like it? And I probably should just do it anyways, right? Because it's funny. You can ask yourself, like, which one is more uncomfortable and will be harder but help me grow? Okay, this one? All right, I'll do that one, right? But you got to rewire your brain to be like, okay, condition yourself to do the hard things and maybe the more difficult thing, because that builds resilience and it starts building a story of who you are and building confidence in yourself too. So when these three systems are in place, like, something changes, genuinely. You stop relying on motivation. You stop starting over, looking back in a year, being the same person. That's the worst feeling in the world, right? But it all starts now, right? And to change your personal reality, you got to change your personality. That old self has to slowly be let go, and you have to start stepping into the footsteps of the new self. What would that person do every day? What does that person do on a daily basis, an hourly basis, a minute basis, a second basis? What decisions do they make? How do they talk to their spouse? How do they apply their business? How do they work out? What do they actually do to get better, right? And when you start asking yourself how, right, you start finding opportunities on how to do it. How do I do it? What if I do it, right? But it's all just rewiring the brain into thinking how you can do it, as opposed to finding the excuses and saying, I can't do it. So it's all the small things. It's all self-talk. Find a way to win, right? Get it done. And if this resonates with you, like, subscribe. This is all the videos. All the videos are really going to be about this, right? About bettering yourself and how to build a foundation on fitness, how fitness is the first step into discipline, into consistency, and how I think it's important every day. Even 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day. Start small, start getting bigger, start stacking, right? Let it lead to bigger goals. So again, don't be average. Don't chase motivation. Build your structure, find your non-negotiables, and start building and start marking the tallies for the person you want to be. And if you want to lead, you lead from the front. And the way to lead from the front is by leading yourself. So get it done, and thanks for watching.